Have you ever considered all the reasons that make you want to play the games you play? Well, it's actually the anniversary of Elite Dangerous when I released this video, so we might as well celebrate it somehow. I figured that listing those 10 things that got me hooked in one way or another would be fitting, though mind you that this is a subjective list, so take it as such. Now then, what are the top 10 best things in Elite? Number 10. As I recall, the first few things I did in Elite, it was just me flying about, not doing much. After a while, of course, I started taking missions. But one thing I loved to do every time I had to travel to some place, and that was launching my Discovery Scanner. The pure awesomeness that is that scanner's sound effect made me just want to repeat it more and more. I know this is like the smallest thing to get excited about, but I love the booming sounds. And add that to a game about space and that gives the whole thing a unique feel. Besides, why do you think my intro has that bell sound? First, it's simple, short and easy to recognize, plus few other reasons. Anyways, the bottom line here is that even now I love to launch that Discovery Scanner and hear that sound, just for no good reason. Number 9. As a combat-oriented pilot, from time to time I do encounter some really amazing things, but the most amazing one is the sheer awesomeness capital ships bring. Their arrival is probably the best effect in the game, as it brings not only visuals but music and sound effects along with it. Capital ships are certainly a thing to see, but their arrival is just the best. So if you have time to spare and you haven't seen this whole thing, just go to a system with conflict zones and jump into high intensity ones. Though you're not guaranteed to see these ships with the first try and jumping in. Jump out and jump in again, and again and again, and eventually you're gonna see it. Number 8. One thing kinda stands out for me when it comes to games. They should have more demos, not tons of trailers that basically tell you nothing about the game. As for Elite, well, it has both, but I would like to point your attention more to the demo, free to download for everyone who's interested, which brings some honesty to the product. Play it a little, and if you feel like it's something you want, get it. I really love the devs decided to make this thing, including some tutorial parts in it. All that makes it quite interesting. And speaking of tutorial, it has to be the biggest I've seen in any game, which is lovely, since there are plenty of things to learn and do in Elite. So a good explanation is necessary, and what we got certainly helps to establish a good base knowledge for those that choose to play those tutorials. So again, if you're not sure about Elite, go get that free demo and play it. Maybe that'll help you decide. Number 7. I come from an FPS background and really most games I play have its main goal to destroy an enemy and get points by doing so. But in Elite, it's certainly lovely to see that it's possible to get money and other things without combat. You can trade and explore to earn your resources, so it's not like you have to learn how to fight or do some crazy maneuvers to progress in this game. You can use your smarts and plan trading routes or just go look at tons of stars for those precious credits. I certainly have tried most ways of earning credits, and though they vary an amount you receive is dependent on risk for the job you have chosen. Still, I like this choice we're given, so by the end of this, Elite is not just a flight sim based in combat, it's a space sim with a combat aspect. Number 6. Now that I have come back from Beagle Point of all things, I know how big the galaxy can be, and that's why it's in this spot. Realistically speaking, it took me about 2 weeks to get to Beagle Point and back while visiting Colonia and the center on my way there. The size of this playground we have in Elite has to be the biggest one I've seen. Well, sure, most of it is empty space, but there's still plenty of content created for us to visit and see and interact with. After traveling to one of the furthest points from our solar system, the scale of the galaxy came into perspective. There are so many star systems, stars, planets and other celestial objects. And the best part is, devs try to keep it pretty close to actual Milky Way. So yeah, you can visit Sol, aka our solar system, Alpha Centauri system and other things you can actually see in the sky. It's a wondrous thing for anyone interested in astronomy or space travel. Number 5. While multiplayer games tend to repeat their content quite a bit, eventually you get used to most things that happen to you. Like that Discoverer sound I mentioned earlier. Eventually, after like 1,000 times of hearing it, I probably will have gotten used to it. The same goes for music. But when you listen in, at least a little, Elite truly has some very good soundtracks. Be that combat zone score or the travel music. Every music piece just adds to the gameplay. While sure, I'm used to most sounds in Elite, I still have to praise those people who managed to create such a wonderful score for the game. Seriously, well done! If you ever get a chance, go on YouTube and look up Elite's OST. Seriously, it's worth it. So yeah, music for sure is my number 5. Number 4. Now, I gotta admit I'm not much of a lore buff, so I stick with things that I know. But as I first jumped in Elite, I was greeted with some information on the station I was on, Galnet news and other things. So I thought, well damn, there's actually a lot to read up on this game and I don't have to search wikis or other places for lore. Sure, there's a lot more to read up on this topic when it comes to internet resources. But the bottom line here is, Elite has some wonderful and imaginative writers behind the story, and the amount of it is the reason why this is number 4. Not only they add some news and stuff on current events, but they also create mysteries for players dedicated enough to solve and discover. Just makes you think. By adding few stories and news once in a while, you give the game quite a lot of depth. It's wonderful and I love it. While I don't go investigate things myself, whenever I see those dedicated commanders put up some interesting posts on Reddit or forums or wherever else, it makes me happy to know that there's something more to it than just a simple space game. It makes you wonder, what will happen? Number 3. So I did talk about exploring a bit, and I said that there are a lot of star systems to visit. Best part in my eyes has always been the fact that if you go exploring, and you find a star system that no other player has reached, after scanning it and returning to human space and turning in the data, you get to be credited as the first to discover that system, or rather that object. This feature is my number 3. I absolutely love it. You can go and discover whole nebulas or sectors and call them your own, in a sense. Another great thing about Elite is that some star systems get renamed after some community events that are driven by player groups or single players. For example, Beagle Point, a system furthest from the Sol that you can travel to with ship that hasn't been modified by engineers, with the current roster of ships of course. It was named this way, unofficially of course, by Commander Kamzel, aka Eremos. Hope I pronounced that correctly. And of course later on devs decided to rename it officially. This is one instance of such thing in Elite, and there are plenty of them all over the place. And hey, if you find something interesting or noteworthy, make sure to share your discoveries. Number 2. Again, returning to my first steps aboard my Sidewinder as I started playing Elite, I recall looking around my ship and at no point I recall getting confused by the UI, so because it's so easy to understand and navigate, I place it on my second spot in the list. What I like about UI in Elite the most is that you can interact with your ship in quite the detail through it. It hosts so much information, and though at times you might forget where exactly some information piece lies, it's not hard to find it. Sure, I might understand how UI works better than someone else, but even at that I still think the devs have done a wonderful job at making it. Though it breaks from time to time, it's a very rare instance. Besides, that's pretty much what every game runs into anyways. Oh, and yes, you can change those UI colors, but unfortunately it's not doable through in-game stuff. For that, you actually have to go and edit some file. And a fair bit of warning, not every color scheme works well, so just watch out for those. Number 1. And so we have come to the top spot of this list. I know each one of us have our own idea as to what it could be, but for me and many other players I have talked with, this spot's taken by the fact that we all live in this ever-evolving universe. A universe that even one player could affect in some way. So say for example, if enough players would go to a system with a civil war and side with the losing side, they might actually lead that faction to a victory and establish it to be the dominant power. Another thing that players tend to affect notably is trading commodities in the system. If you were to decide to bring in some specific things and sell them in masses, that commodity might decrease in price or whatever else. Oh, and speaking of this, if you read up on Colonia system and Jack Station in particular, you'll see how community can affect this immense sandbox we inhabit. Community goals from time to time also bring in some global awards in form of promise to build more stations in some locations. So yeah, ever-evolving universe that we can all affect is the best thing about the game. It's also wonderful that we are creating long-lasting lore ourselves by doing things we do. Oh, and speaking of this, support Empire. Viva la Empire! But yeah, that's my list. As an honorable funny mention, Elite is also great at giving you something to do while you catch up on some podcasts you like, be that entertainment, politics or science or well, whatever. But yeah, that all aside, this is my list, and as I have released this video on the 2-year anniversary for this game, I encourage everyone to either post below your own lists or just share your stories of why do you enjoy this game so much. But till then, I'll see you floating around the space somewhere.